If you are taking the Kaplan Nursing Entrance Exam, the KNAT exam, this video is for you. We are going to go over the reading section of this test. We're going to talk about each and every topic that's on the test so that you know what to be studying and what you don't need to waste your time studying. So the way the reading section is structured is that you will be given 3 to 4 detailed passages and you'll have 4 to 6 questions for each passage. Now, a lot of people have the question, is it better to read the whole passage and then answer the questions, or is it better to read the questions and then go back and read the passage for the first time? And you really hear people say on both sides of this, there's no really right answer, but I can kind of break down for you the pros and cons of doing it each way. Now, when you read the paragraph first, you kind of have the passage, you have an understanding of what the passage is about, and when you and what the different parts of it from the beginning to the end. And when you get to those questions, you might have a better idea of, I remember reading that in the beginning, I remember it was at the end. So you can go right into the passage where it might have asked about that question. And then conversely, if you read the questions first, then you're kind of on a treasure hunt as you're reading that passage, and you're seeing something that in the second paragraph, in the second sentence, and you say, oh, I remember there was a question specifically about this. I'm going to know where to go back. So you can do it either way. There's really just, you can go online, everybody will say do it this way or that way, but those are the two ways to do it. You can pick which one works best for you. Some of the fundamental areas of reading are going to include the main ideas, the topic sentences, the supporting details. So those are things that you're going to want to be super familiar with. And so you're going to see these really straightforward questions, something like, what is the main idea of the passage? And you'll have a couple answer options to choose from. Now, summarizing text is something that you'll be asked to do using text features. So that's kind of knowing sequences and instructions, being able to interpret graphics like a diagram, a flow chart, bar graphs, pie charts, things like that. So you may not see as many questions on this, but it is a topic that could be tested on. And when it comes to reading, you're going to need to understand what primary sources are, making inferences from any passage or writing, and drawing conclusions from what you have read. So there's primary sources, secondary sources, and tertiary sources. So know the differences between those. Be able to evaluate credibility of a passage. And there's many things that you can use to do that. The date of publication, an author's info or bio, the publisher's info, the professionalism of the writing are all things that can help add to credibility of any particular writing. So know those different types of things. And questions that you'll see around this would be, the passage implies that, and you'll have a couple answer choices, or what can the reader conclude from this passage with a couple answer choices. Now, there are differences between formal and informal language, and there could be questions on the test about that. So knowing what situations to use formal writing in, what situations to use informal writing in. Another example question might be identify a sentence that would be used in business writing. So you need to know the differences between this informal and formal writing. We use it every day, at least informal, so you should have an idea, but definitely brush up on that. And when it comes to the authoring, you need to know the tone and the mood that authors are taking and be familiar with different transition words. So the tone is going to be the author's attitude towards the subject, and you can look for repetitive words within any particular passage or writing that have the same tone or the mood. So you could see, they keep just being really negative, or they keep being really pessimistic, or they're really positive, or they're dismissive. But you'll see this kind of reoccurring tone within the passage that you're seeing over and over again. That's a good indication of what the tone of the passage is. Now, when it comes to mood, there's kind of different ways that you can see the mood, and this is really more about the reader's attitude. So it could be sad or scary or formal or reflective, like a narrative passage. So know the different types of mood that you might encounter. Now, there's a lot of transition words that you should be familiar with. These are things like first, second, next, last, for instance, as a result, thus, or despite. These are all kind of different transition words, and there could be questions on this, so be prepared to be familiar at least with identifying when there are transitions taking place based on these types of words. Now, another kind of fundamental topic that you really need to have a good understanding of is knowing the author's purpose and the author's point of view. So you can look for clues to understand what their point of view is. And these are things like, if they're making an argument over and over again, it's a persuasive writing. If it's got lots of facts in it, it's an informative writing. Now, when it comes to recognizing facts versus opinions and evaluating an argument, this is just something that you're going to need to know in life in general. It's good to know facts versus opinions, but there's things to keep in mind. So judgments are not facts. So someone's judgment of someone else is not a fact. It's just what they think. It's not a fact. Be able to know if an argument is a valid or a poor argument. Watch out for assumptions or biases. Now, when it comes to passages, there's a couple different types of passages. There's a narrative passage, an expository passage, a technical passage, and a persuasive passage. We can also talk about text structures and like the genre and themes. But when it comes to types of passages, you need to become more familiar with the keywords that identify those passages. So words like not long ago, after a few days, till next time, on the next occasion, from this point, those would all be narrative passages. They're narrating kind of a story, and you can know that based on those types of words that they're using. So get familiar with those, and they'll help you identify the types of passages. Now, for text structure, this is kind of the structure of any particular writing or paragraph, and they can be written as sequences, comparing and contrasting something, the cause and effect, a problem and a solution, outlining a problem or a solution, or just a description. So those are the different types of text structures that you might come across. And then there's genre and theme. So be familiar with that. It's pretty fundamental for reading. You have fiction, which is going to be things like stories, novels, romance and mystery, all those kind of categories. And then there's nonfiction. Those are going to be your autobiographies, your essays, your criticism, reviews, things like that. So hopefully that all makes sense to you. Leave comments in this video if you have any questions. We do reply to all of them. We're here to help you guys out. And check out the links in the description of the video to our free practice test, our online course, our free Facebook study group. Tons and tons of help and resources for you. Check out our website. We have tons of stuff there. And subscribe to the channel because we do take those deeper dives into all these topics so that you can really start to learn them now that you know what's on the test. So do that, and we'll see you guys on the next video.